I'd like to finish this Mimor before the dead actually do raise. If it's possible. Should happen any minute now. The Rebbe said everybody could just sort of go to sleep for a moment. And that's sufficient to fill all the criterion of the raising of the dead. So here we have the raising of the dead, and the Rebbe explains that the raising, what is this idea of the raising of the dead? The raising of the dead is really a revelation of the truth. It's not just this thing, like some people, they daven, they pray in the morning because they just do it. It's just Judaism, and you just do it, and you put on tefillin, and you just do it. Why not? Jews have been doing it for thousands of years. Tefillin they've been doing longer, but praying 2,500 years. So they've been praying. And there's all the commandments, so people just do it. You just do it. The same thing, raising of the dead. It's just something that happens. Who knows? Just says the Rebbe. No, it's not that way. You can never take anything for granted. Listen, it's a big lesson in life, in connecting to the Creator, that you can never take anything for granted. The fact that we have eyes, that we have nose, we have ears, we have feet, that there's trees outside, and that there's sun shines in the morning. Everything there is, we can give thanks to. It's a miracle. Everything there is just a miracle, amazing miracle. So we can't take anything for granted. It's all to see the mystery and the miraculousness and everything. That's going to be one of the accomplishments of Mashiach. He's going to open up everybody's eyes to see the amazing miracle that is contained in everything in the world. Everything. So being thankful to Hashem is a very happy thing. It makes life very happy. They say the joke, what do you say to an atheist when he sneezes? You can't say, God bless you. He doesn't believe in God. It's a joke. Okay, but the fact is we have to be thankful for everything, but we don't really see godliness. Well, says the Rebbe, this world conceals Hashem, but there's going to be stages where God is revealed. The fact is revealed that everything is a miracle. The first time you see this, or that it's available to be seen, is after a person dies. After a person dies, then it's just thrust upon you the revelation of God. Then after that, there's another stage, and that's going to be mainly the reward for the learning Torah. That's after you die, going to heaven. And there's all these different levels of heaven. There's lower heaven and upper heaven, and there's levels between that, and there's a river of fire you have to go through in order to go to the next level, and there's a pillar of light that pulls you up to the next level. The Rebbe explained, that's after you die. You get these amazing revelations of truth and of pleasure and of joy and whatever. Says the Rebbe, that's peanuts. And nothing. Going to heaven, that's a motivation. That's what you're going for. There's something much higher than that. What is that? The raising of the days of the Mashiach. Days of the Mashiach, that's going to be something totally different. Then you're going to have all these revelations, and you can be in your body. That's in the later stages of the raising of the dead. That's called the later stages of the coming of the Mashiach. I'm sorry. The later stages of coming of the Mashiach, there's going to be these amazing miracles are going to happen. And then eventually, and that's all the reward for the commandments. Going to heaven is the Torah, mostly. And the days of the Mashiach is the reward, the amazing miracles that are going to be. That's the result of our doing commandments. Because commandments are attached to the Creator, the will of the Creator. And that's also small change. Because then there's going to be a deeper revelation of the commandments in the beginning of the raising of the dead. And then the second stage, or whatever, second dimension of the raising of the dead is going to be the revelation of what a Jew is. And that's the highest. There's nothing higher than that. because a Jew comes from God's essence. What that means, I have no idea. But in other words, like we said last time, a Jew is not created. A Jew is not part of the creation. A Jew is not spiritual. Spiritual is part of the creation. A Jew is part of God himself, part of God's essence. Does that make any sense? Doesn't make any sense, but it says in the Bible. What does it say in the good book? B'ni b'chor Yisrael, the Jews are called the sons of God. The Jews are called, God says, Moses, go into Pharaoh and say, my son, my chosen one, Israel. The Jewish people, every Jew, you see, is a son of God. A son comes from the essence of the Father. It's the second chapter of the Tanya. Okay. Now, where are we? I think we're in chapter, did we finish chapter 5? Yes, we did. We did. Paragraph 5, we finished. Vav. So in Hay, the Rebbe explained that there's these amazing revelations in heaven that a person gets, and there's all these different levels of heaven. That has to be without a body. That has to be without a body. The body just sort of gets in the way. But the revelation that's going to be in the days of the Mashiach is going to be higher, and it's going to be in a body. And goes without saying, the revelation in the days of the raising of the dead, then all the dead are going to raise up. Then there's really going to be in bodies. Amazing revelations of the essence of what God is. Vav. Yesh Lomar, we can say, Abir Bazet, the explanation is, right, we're on paragraph Vav. Yesh Lomar, we can say, Abir Bazet, the explanation is, Shamshacha, the Oram Mamale, that this revelation of what's called the light of God that fills the world. We spoke in the previous paragraph that there's two general aspects of God. One is how God makes everything different. There's a difference between a tree and a cat and a dog and a stone. Everything is different. Then there's all the spiritual worlds. They're all different. There's a difference between the world of Yetzirah and the world of Bria and this angel and that type of angel, Machoel, and everything is different. And even in this world, let's say every snowflake is different, every fingerprint is different. Where does all this come from? I thought God was one. He says that's the aspect of God which is called Memale Ka'omim. He fills all the worlds, that God has the ability to articulate himself. Sometimes that's called the name Elohim. We say Elohim. The ability of God to make changes and differences in the creation. That's called Memale Ka'omim. Fills. That's also different types of life. An ant gets a different type of life than a cat, and a cat gets a different type of life than a person. A person gets a life of... That's called Mamali Kalmim. In order to reveal this, this is mainly what deals with in like Kabbalah. Kabbalah, the mysteries of Judaism, that's mainly what they talk about. They talk about all these different spiritual levels, higher and higher. This is what's called Hishtalshalut Milamayla Lamata. This is what's called a chain from above to below. This is heaven, going to heaven. Shebetchil, in the beginning, whom mitlabesh, God clothes this light of his in the Nivraim Ruchnim, in the spiritual worlds. And then afterwards, this light of God becomes dimmed down more and more, and it is clothed in the Nivraim Shalamatamim, lower creations. Shem Kavar, this is only Kamol, Mashal, this is just like what do you want to call it, an example of the upper creations. It's like trying to explain somebody what music is, right? Music is. So you have to tell them what sound is. Right? You explain to them what sound is, the ears, how it works. Right? That's sort of like an example of what music is. Or you want to explain to them the music of, Bach or something like that. So you know what music is? No, well, something like this. See, you go like this. Hear that? Says, well, there's different type here. This is not the same as this, right? So that you can do that with the piano, and you know what a piano is. So you give examples. That's called, the lower worlds are like examples for what the reality there is in the upper worlds. The upper worlds are infinitely more real, less concealing God, the Creator. First of all, is the worlds that are below them. And they are like a mashal. The lower worlds are sort of like giving an example of what the upper worlds are like. And afterwards, and afterwards it comes even lower and lower. Like the example I gave to you yesterday, right? You want a 5-year-old child wants to know what is nuclear physics. So you say, well, you know what mathematics is? What's that? 1 and 1 is 2. You know what that means? No. One banana. How many bananas have you got now? You got 2 bananas. Yeah, the child says, oh, I get 1 banana. Does it work with apples also? Right? And then that's sort of like what nuclear physics is like, right? Taking numbers and talking about reality, something like that. So that's, the lower worlds are like an example for what's the reality of the upper worlds. Like it says by King Solomon that he knew 3,000 mushals. We did this yesterday. V'yesh lomer, we can say, they're the tam, that's what it means, that the aliyah shebegan Eden, that these elevations that there are in heaven, shebegan Eden negila or mamali, because we said that in heaven is the revelation of these different light levels of the filling light of God, this mamali light of God. So therefore in heaven it goes from level to level. And in order to get to the higher level, you have to mitbatel mimedrega tachtona. You have to forget about the lower levels, because here we're not talking about mathematics. We're talking about life, reality. And a person in reality, what does it mean? A human being only has the ability to really be on one level of reality, so to speak. A person when he gets to a higher level of reality, he can understand the lower levels, right? A person who works with drug addicts, he can sort of understand drug addicts. But if he's a drug addict, he's in trouble. You know, then he's in trouble. A drug addict is a person that he's caught. An addict to anything, he's trapped. Well, we're all trapped, so to speak. And even when the soul goes to heaven, whatever level it's at, it gets sort of trapped in that level. It identifies, because we're talking about reality. That's his reality. And in order to go from one level to another in heaven, so he has to forget the lower level and be drawn up as the, detach from the lower level and be drawn up to a higher level. That's what he means. A person has to forget the lower level. That's the whole idea of death also. A person dies and he realizes that he's not in the world anymore. Can't do what he wants to. He's not the boss, right? This is drawing from above to below. Coming from above to below, the lower levels have more and more and more garments. Like I told you the example with the learning mathematics, coming down, right, from learning nuclear physics, coming down to more and more garments, until finally it just comes down to, right, you want to understand nuclear physics? 1 banana and 1 banana is 2. That's the beginning. That's mathematics. At least you understand. How do you go from one level to another? You have to remove the lower garments. And let's take our example of the mathematics. A person he really knows really good, right? This child knows 1 and 1 is 2. He goes, he's bragging to all his friends. He knows 1 and 1 is 2. One of the children says, what about multiplication? You know what, I'll multiply. So what's that? As soon as he learns multiplication, suddenly he realizes that mathematics is no big deal. Add addition, that's nothing to really be, right, so excited about. I know mathematics, you left it behind. Now he knows, I know how to multiply. You know how many 7 times 7 is? 49. Then somebody says, hey, you know what it means, calculus, and you know what is trigonometry, and you know what is the algebra and trigonometry. These are higher and higher levels. Suddenly you realize the lower levels, they weren't so. Then you applied mathematics, applied. So you sort of leave your identification of the lower levels and you raise up to a higher level of dimension. So it is also with music, so it is also with sports, so it is also with everything. Well, the Rebbe says, why is that? Because that's the way it is in reality. If a person wants to raise up to a higher level of anything, so he has to sort of detach himself from the lower levels and realize there's something that's above him. Says the Rebbe, that's what's called mimali kol olmim. Bittul medrega kodemet, that you have to sort of negate your connection to the lower level in order to rise up to a higher level. That's this aspect of God which says fills all the worlds. That's what happens after a person dies. He goes to heaven, and then he starts to feel these different levels of godliness. When you're in the world, you don't feel there's any God at all. There's no creator. It's just the world. It's just the creation. But after a person dies, his body, then he starts to realize, ooh, the creator is so good. The creator is the source of joy, the source of pleasure. This is the Yeshlom, we can say, this is also what's brought in many, that's what almost all the religions are based on these different levels of heaven and realizing what heaven is. And here the Rebbe is saying, heaven, that's very wonderful, but it's small change. Compared to what the Mashiach is going to bring, and compared to the raising of the dead, the Yesh Lomo, we can say that this is also Mashem Muva Bakama Darushin, what it says in many places, Shegama Avo, that even Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, where are we now? Let's see if we have this mill. That's right. Right at the, see on your screen, you have the very bottom line. If you can scroll up, can I do it? Yes. Is that me? Are you doing it? Okay. The Zel, first line, top line. That's what's brought in many Mimorim, that in the raising of the dead, that also the Avos, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and Moshe Rabbeinu, it says that they are in heaven already thousands of years. Abraham is there more than 4,000 years. Moshe Rabbeinu, more than 3,000 years. Avram is 4,000 years. No. Avram is there almost 4,000 years. It is 4,000 years, Yavo will come, that is, the Rebbe, that's where he says more than 3,000 years. Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Moshe, all these people that had died more than 3,000 years ago will come back in the raising of the dead, and they'll be in bodies. Because the revelation that will be in the raising of the dead is nala harbe yoter, is infinitely greater miagilui than the revelation that shines even in heaven. Now you have to realize that's what we're talking about over here. We're talking about a revelation that's so good that normally you can't take it in this world. It's too good. It says in Mount Sinai that everybody's souls jumped out of their bodies. We just finished learning it. People learned Daf Yomi in Shabbat. In page 88, it says over there that when God gave the Torah to the Jews, that their souls jumped out of their bodies and that he had to re-enliven. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe makes a big thing of this, a great explanation in chapter 37 of the Tanya. The end. Afilu b'gan Eden Elyon, even in the highest heavens, right, is nothing compared to the raising of the dead. It says that all these souls that were totally righteous, that are in the highest levels of heaven, they'll all leave in order to come into this body and in this world into bodies. That's the raising of the dead. Why? Because the if you want to call it the name of the game is appreciation. Appreciation. Right? God created human beings. I mean, that's the whole story of the Bible. What's the story of the Bible? God created a world and for human beings. And these human beings, Adam, were created only in order to appreciate the Creator. And by means of doing this, they would do what the Creator wants, and they would be willing to be self-sacrificing for the Creator. I mean, after all, we owe everything to the Creator. He's creating us. And the whole world was supposed to be that way. And after Adam wrecked it up, so the first person to get the point that we're in this world and we're just creations, it's God's world, it's not our world. And we're here to serve the Creator. The first person to get this point was Abraham. The whole world was supposed to be serving God. But nobody got the point. Everybody wanted to do it their own thing. And the first person to get this was Abraham. What's the idea of Abraham? Abraham was self-sacrifice. It's an easy thing to say, but to be so totally devoted to the truth that a person is willing to sacrifice himself. That was Abraham, the 10 tests of Abraham. The truth. Do we see the truth? What is the truth? In this world, it's totally concealed what the truth is. Abraham revealed it. And Abraham revealed that that's the job of the Jews to spread this truth around, that God is creating everybody. God loves everyone. That's what we're chosen for. God is creating everyone. Stop worshiping people and stop worshiping idols and stop worshiping, doing whatever you want to in the name of the Lord. Right? You can't do that. There's what's called, that's why Abraham got his name Av Raham. It says Av Hamon Goyim. Abraham became called by the name Avraham, which means the father of all mankind. Because we, Jewish people, we have to teach all mankind how good God is. Who says he's good? Says that's the idea of going to hell. After a person dies, as he realizes this a little bit, Mashiach is going to come. He's going to make everybody realize it before they die. Because that's the whole name of the game, appreciation of the Creator. And this will be revealed when after a person dies, it's revealed. And then Mashiach will reveal it in this physical world. And it'll be revealed even more ultimately in the raising of the dead. Let's go. Because the revelation that is going to be in the raising of the dead. Where's this? Ki, right here. It's like six lines from the bottom. Ki agiloi. Last word on the line on your screen is giloi. Because the revelation that's going to be in the raising of the dead, who is, let's move this thing over here. The revelation that's going to be in the raising of the dead is, what is this? What happened? What did I do? Oh. Yes. I'm sorry, I lost the voice. The revelation that's going to be in the raising of the dead is Naila Harbayoter. It's much, much greater than the revelation that is shining in heaven. That's why all these great holy men will leave heaven and come down into the world. Afilu Gan Eden Elyon, even in the upper heaven. The upper heaven is the world of Bria, is the world of Bria. You ever hear of the four worlds? The four worlds is really the four dimensions of reality, if you want to call it. Which that also sort of is a very weak definition, but the highest revelation of reality is called Atzilut. That was what was revealed in Mount Sinai. And then there's the world of Bria. That's the world of the souls. And then there's the world of Yetzirah. That's the world of the angels. Yetzirah. And then there's the world of Asiya. That's this physical world, which is really divided into two. There's physical Asiya, and then there's the spiritual Asiya. That's the spiritual levels of basically all the powers and that all the non-Jews worship. All the religions are based on that. And what divides between the upper Asiya and the lower are the stars, the zodiac. That's why in the Torah, the Gemara, the non-Jews are sometimes what's called star worshippers, Ovdei Kochavim Mazolot, because they turn themselves to the spiritual realities that are above the stars. The stars are the connector between. Okay, we can learn that sometime. There's a beautiful Mimor by the Rebbe Marash called Micha Mocha, and then there's Mayim Rabim by the Rebbe. People will learn that. That's what it says, the Yoshim Gan Eden. That's what it says, that the souls are sitting in heaven, Yoter, more than 3,000 years. Why does it say that 3,000 years? Right? It says many places that souls that are sitting in heaven for more than 3,000 years. Why does it say 3,000 years? Say thousands of years. Why 3,000? This corresponds to what we said before, that King Solomon could say 3,000 examples. Each level is a higher level than the previous one. This corresponds to the three worlds, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. That in each one, there's what we call 1,000 levels. Right? You want to understand what it means, the spiritual aspect of this world, Asiya? Well, in order to explain that, I'd have to say 3,000 examples, right? In order for you to really comprehend what it is. In order for me to come, someone would have to give me 3,000 examples for me to comprehend what it is. And I know that it is, but I know that it is. I don't know what it is. And what about to understand the world of Yetzirah? There's another 1,000. What about the world of Bria? That's another 1,000 examples that would have to be given, each one deeper than the previous one, to understand what's going on there. That corresponds, B'kol Olam, that in each and every one of these worlds, if you want to come a little bit to understand what reality is, Yesh Elef Madregos, there are 1,000 different levels of truth. V'zeu shemadaikim, that's what it says, Yoshvim Began Eden Elyon. That's what it means, that there are souls that are sitting in the upper heaven more than 3,000 years. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Moshe, that in the course of 3,000 years, Mafshitim Kol Levushim, the souls can remove all of their garments. A garment is like a mashal, it's like the example. The Gimel Olamot Bria, in order to understand the three worlds, Bria, Yetzir, and Asiya. Okay, Yoshvim Began Eden, if you sit in heaven, Yotam Gimel Olfim Shana, more than 3,000 years, Mitalim, you can also raise up even into the level of Atzilut. That's pretty good. That was what was revealed at Mount Sinai. Nevertheless, Yavo Litlabesh Beguvim, and the raising of the dead, they'll all leave all these amazing, amazing revelations of godliness, which are, let us say, at least 3,000 levels removed from us. Levels of truth. We're talking about what there is right here. This is not another room or something. We're here, we just don't feel it. It's amazing because the revelation, it's like you take, let's say, a deaf person and you bring him into a concert of a Mahler concert or a concert of Tchaikovsky or something like that. He sees everybody sitting there, has no idea what's going on. No idea what is happening. Everybody's sitting there and they're swooning and this. And he just doesn't, to him, it's the same thing as everything. And he had to pay, $100 to get in. What is it? The same as always. And all of a sudden he gets a little bit of hearing. Starts to hear a little tiny bit. Ooh. Now he starts to understand. What does he understand? He understands that these people are reacting to something. He gets a little more hearing. And finally, let's say all of his hearing comes back. He has to go through 1,000 stages until all of a sudden, then he doesn't understand the music. Doesn't understand what's going on. Now you have to explain what music is. You have to explain, a little bit, he starts to understand melody. That takes another 1,000 classes. Then he can understand a little bit harmony. Then he can understand counterpoint. Then he can understand whatever it is, the ambience. He could starts to understand the different instruments. Level after level after level until finally he can understand, whoa, what an amazing performance this was. I like this orchestra better than that orchestra. Oh, now he has an appreciation. Right? That's talking about one little thing, talking about music. That's one small, very small, albeit a very important aspect of life. That's music. That's not life itself. What is life itself? Ooh. That's what the Jewish people are supposed to reveal on the world. If you think that music is beautiful, life is infinitely more beautiful. And that's infinitely more levels of depth of understanding. We're deaf and we're blind and we can't see, we can't hear, nothing. We're all alive, right? What are you talking about? We have no appreciation of what life is. It's amazing because the raising of the dead, this is much higher than the revelation of heaven. The Gan Eden, also the revelation which is going to be in heaven, it's even higher than the revelation of heaven after you remove all the garments, like Moses or Abraham. Which is not the case, the elevations that will be in the days of the Mashiach. The days of the Mashiach, that's something between heaven, which heaven is without a body, and the raising of the dead, which is in a body. The days of the Mashiach will be revelations of God in the body, but nothing like the raising of the dead. The revelations that will be in like it says, what do we say every day in our prayers? Yakiru v'yeru kol yeshvei tevel. All human beings will recognize and know what God is. The Rambam in the end of the book says the world will be filled with the awareness of God like the ocean is filled with water. Right? This is an amazing, miraculous thing. And it'll be to us physically in bodies. We'll be able to receive this in physical bodies, but our bodies will not be as pure in the raising of the dead. Indeed, in the raising of the dead, we'll see that the Jewish body is higher even than the Jewish soul. That which we said that the Jewish soul is a part of God, right? That is not really God's essence. That explains in other Mimor we talk about. Then, because the revelation of Ohr Ein Sof, that the infinite light of God, which is Ohr Ein Sof, the infinite light of God, which is unlimited, right? Unlimited God, light of God. The revelation will be below, just like above. Right? It's like when the king is happy. So the king is happy. He doesn't know between his greatest ministers and the lowest person. He's just throwing money out the window. He benefits everybody. Anybody that he sends his ministers out, he says, just help everybody in the country. Anything that everybody wants, just, the same thing. The lowest levels and the highest levels will be clear. We say in the Shava Umashve Katan V'Gadol. We say there's a prayer called meaning that God makes everything equal. In other words, everything will be a creation of God. There's different creations of God, okay, but the main thing is that we're creations of God. And then within that, everybody is different, right? It's the same thing, human beings. Every human being is different. Every human being is unique. But we have one thing in common. We're alive. Life is something that's infinite. Everyone's alive. So that's going to be this. What is life, though? We got no idea whatsoever. Well, that's the idea of Mashiach. He'll reveal what life is, how precious, amazing, deep life itself is. But even this revelation of the Mashiach, we're on chapter Zion now, right? But even the revelation of the days of the Mashiach, this will be the revelation of what's called Sovev Kol Olmim, of the light of God, which defies all definition. It surrounds all worlds. In other words, it cannot be defined. There's no up and there's no down, pure godliness. That's what's going to be revealed in the days of the Mashiach. Sovev Kol Olmim, the light of God which surrounds all the worlds. In other words, it defies all definition of world. It cannot be contained in any definition. It's high and low is the same thing. God, the Creator. The Creator will be revealed in every aspect of His creation. And therefore, there will be all sorts of different levels in the days of the Mashiach. In the days of the Mashiach, there will be different levels, different. Right? Everybody won't be exactly the same. It'll be different levels of revelation to different people, like we said before. But Agilah, the revelation, which is in the raising of the dead, and that's what this Mimor is talking about. Kol Yisrael Yishlam Chelek L'Olam Haba. All the Jews have a portion in the world to come. Here he proves that the world to come means the raising of the dead. Kol Yisrael B'Shaveh will be to all Jews equally. That's why it says all Jews have a place in the world to come. And the Rebbe proves even the worst Jews, most terrible, awesome Jews, right? The Talmud in Gittin, it explains the worst of the Jews was JC, Yashkele. The worst, says the worst, Poshe Yisrael. And he's going to raise up in the raising of the dead. Lefi, because in the raising of the dead, Yagilei Atzmos on itself, there'll be a revelation of the essence of God, Shalamaylam his chalkos, without any division. Suddenly we'll see pure godliness, and we'll start to understand why God did all these things. That's what it says, that in the future it says that the Mashiach will come and it'll make sense. The Rebbe said before he was 3 years old, the Lubavitcher Rebbe said before he was 3 years old, he was, how do you say, consumed with this idea that Mashiach will come and he'll explain the suffering of the Jews, righteous Jews, holy Jews, pure Jews, Jews that only wanted to benefit the world, and the terrible suffering they got because they were Jews. Right? That doesn't make any sense. What the thing of that? I mean, the Holocaust, that's in everybody's mind, but really before the Holocaust, we talked about this before, there were tragedies no less tragic. The destruction of the first and second temples are arguably much worse than the Holocaust was. It affected all the Jews, etc. We went through that. And there were the expulsion from Spain. How many people got killed? How many in the course of right? The church, what the church did to the Jews, incredible, just the incredible pain and suffering and tortures and cruelty, just simple cruelty through the generations. And Muhammad, what he did, he killed people, beheaded people in the name of this. It killed 600 Jews, 700 Jews. Jews are suffering. What? It'll make the Mashiach will make sense, but the raising of the dead will be just pure pleasure. Even those who are dead, there won't be any more death. But what's so terrible about the Holocaust and these things? People died. What do you mean? What's so terrible? We'll see the death really wasn't there. Death will become life. That makes sense. Makes no sense. But the Lubavitcher Rebbe said before he was 3 years old, he was consumed with the idea of how Mashiach would come and it would make sense of all of it. It would show that Hashem really is good. Something cannot be delayed. And the raising of the dead, there will be the revelation of the essence of God, which is above all division. In this itself will be two topics. And when is this going to happen, the raising of the dead? It should have happened a long time ago. It should have happened. The Mashiach should have been a long time ago. According to one opinion, it says 40 years after Mashiach arrives, as is going to be the raising of the dead. That's one opinion, right? So the Gemara says Mashiach should have been a long time ago. And the Lubavitcher Rebbe said all the Rebbes of Chabad are the Mashiach of their generation. Well, the Alter Rebbe was here 250 years ago. Should have been raising of the dead a long time ago, but there's been a lot of suffering since then. Right? The Rebbe said many, many times that the previous Lubavitcher Rebbe, he is the Mashiach. Right now, he's the Mashiach, the Rebbe said. He's the Mashiach. No, where is the raising of the dead? What's going on? That he's the Mashiach, I have absolutely no doubt. But what's happening, I don't know. Mashiach will come and he'll explain that all. But nevertheless, what is the idea of Mashiach? To explain what reality is, what life is. Hagili the Atzmus Ein Sof, it'll be a revelation of the essence of God, which will be drawn down by means of the commandments. That's the raising of the dead. We said it before. Amech Kulam Tzadikim. A tzaddik is a person who does the commandments. That's what's going to cause the raising of the dead. And by means of this, Yit'al Yisrael, the Jewish people will raise to even a higher level, if you want to call it a level, because the raising of the dead is going to be the essence of God, no levels. Shetitgaleh Malet Yisrael Atzmo, that will be revealed what a Jew is. That's even higher than the commandments in the Torah. I mean, we can see that also. We can see here that the Jewish people worship the golden calf. Here in this week's Torah portion, the Jews are sinning right and left. They don't want to go into the land of Israel. They rebel. They don't want Moses. They complain about the manna. They complain about everything, right? And nevertheless, Moshe steps in and he says, God says, that's it. I'm wiping them all out, right? And Moshe says, God, these are your people. Don't do it. Don't do it. God says, okay, all right, I won't do it. What type of an argument is that? God says, I'll wipe them out. Moshe, I'll make you'll be the new generation. Moshe says, no, don't do it, God, right? They're your people. You know what's going on? God says, okay, convince me. What happened? He appealed to this. God, the Jewish people are above the Torah. What did they do so wrong? They went against the Torah. They didn't do the commandments, right? The Jewish people are above the Torah. They're above the commandments, right? You want them to do the commandments, right? Neitzer Mata'ai, it says the Jewish people, they are the plant of God. Maaseh Yadeh, they're the handwork of God, even if they don't do anything. Shemala Zushi Israel, that this preciousness of the Jews is Nale Yoter, is even higher than this. Shemamshechim Gilei Elokut, that they draw down godliness by means of learning Torah and doing the commandments. The Shorish Neshamos, that the source of all the souls is in God's essence, Yisborech. Lamayla Mishorish Torah v'mitzvahs, higher than the source of Torah and the commandments. V'gam aguf Israel, even the physical body of the Jews, comes from God's bechira atzmis. This comes from the choice of God. And the 49th chapter of the Tanya, it explains this. Bono Bacharta, it's talking about the Jewish body. And that's what's going to be revealed in the raising of the dead, that the Jews, first of all, the body is higher than the soul. That's why the souls are going to come into the world. The body comes from God's essence. And the essence of a Jew is something connected to the essence of God. So you might say this is pretty chauvinistic. I mean, but you have to remember, God is creating everyone. God creates everyone from love. And we Jews are just representatives of that. Right? It's not that we got God and you don't have God and we're going to go to heaven and you're going to all burn. It's not so. What do we say in Aleinu prayer? We say, Yifnu elecha kol rishei oretz. All of the evil people in the world will turn to the Creator. That's the goal. Everyone will see how much God loves them. He's creating them. That's right now. And the raising of the dead will see this. We'll see it. It'll be felt. And that's why it's so important that everybody, that's one of the 13 principles of faith, to know what a Jew is. A Jew is something totally above any comprehension. And so is our obligation to the world, our responsibility to the Creator is also above any comprehension. Can we do it? Yes. Will we do it? Certainly, no doubt. And when will we do it? Mashiach, now.